So I'm going to create a cylinder. Now this isn't the best way of creating a cylinder, to be honest, but it's simple. So let's create one here, and then we'll scale that up. Then I'm going to move the pivot down to the base of the cylinder here. And then we can move the whole thing up to this point. So if we look at that from the left view, it's a vertical cylinder. Now I want to rotate that a bit, so I'm going to rotate it that way. And if we try to do a non-proportional scale on that, it's absolutely fine. If we go into transform with pivot on, the axes are pointing the direction that you would expect. So now if I go and mirror that, so I'm going to mirror it about YZ. So I've got mirror on my marking menu here, so I've got YZ and duplicate on, and we do that. And the problem is that when we try and do non-proportional scale, it does that. It's not actually scaling it in the sense that you'd expect it to. And the same thing if we go into uniform transform with pivot on, the actual axes are lined up with this cylinder rather than this one. Now if I go into there and try global, that doesn't help either, because it's just orientated in the global space. So that's not very useful. So the solution, or one solution, is to go into here, we're going to create a plane on the base of this cylinder. So if I go into construction and go and create a 3-point plane, so I'm just using Control and Alt here to slide along. Doesn't really matter which precise plane we use here. And then we go into that plane. So now if we look at that, I'm upside down and backwards here, but it doesn't really matter. If I now go and look at that, and you can see the planes there. So if I toggle back to the plane that we were in before, that one there, and if I try and scale it, not surprisingly, we still got the same problem. And if I go into transform, so putting the plane there of course hasn't changed anything really, and the same again, we've got the axes in the wrong sense. But what we can do is if we go and pick that plane, so let's go and toggle back to that plane, and then I'm going to pick that object, and if we look in the information window, which is under Windows here, or on the I key in my case, so we've got all these translations and rotations that have taken place in order to get that object where it is, and you can see they're all numbers other than ones and zeros. What we can do is go into transform, and we can zero this so that everything becomes 0 or 1 in the sense of scale. Now if I toggle back to the plane that we were in and now try and scale that non-proportionally, it works perfectly well. And also if I go into transform and go pivot, you can see that it also does it there.